Hello, welcome to a very happy Carrow Road. I'm very pleased to be able to say a shock result of kinds, a 1-0 win over third place Leicester, who may have tailed off a bit from what they were doing in the first half of the season, but they were still far better off than Norwich City in the table ahead of this game. Friday night under the lights, horrible conditions going into the game, a real soggy day in front of the TV cameras, but Norwich have risen to the occasion just when it was needed. 10 games left now. If they hadn't have got a win from this one, then it would have been very difficult to keep hold of hope that a great escape could happen. But given that their rivals now play over the weekend, they go into Saturday with a 4-point gap to safety, which is to Aston Villa, who are not in action this weekend because they got the League Cup final on Sunday. Watford are at home to Liverpool, so you'd like to think they won't get certainly a win from that. You never know, they might nick a draw. Norwich have just beaten Leicester, so you can't say for sure in the Premier League, can you? But Liverpool, of course, in great shape. And Aston Villa are at home to Southampton, who have been resurgent and been really good. So we have to wait and see how things will shape up going into next weekend's trip to Sheffield United. Of course, we've got a rather enjoyable game to look forward to between now and then. 5th round FA Cup tie at Tottenham, where 9,000 Norwich fans are going to be at the lovely new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But the hero of the night, Jamal Lewis, we've just been talking to him in the mix zone after the game, him and Max Aarons, beaming smiles, just so pleased. And so they should be, because they really worked hard for this tonight. Every Norwich player, they just about deserved the win. Ended up with 6 shots on target, despite the fact that Leicester had more shots. Just about edged the possession as well. And it was 0-0 at the break, and there'd been a few chances for both sides. The best being for Norwich, Ben Godfrey a header down early on. Harvey Barnes had clipped the outside of the post for Leicester, and they tested Tim Krul with a few fairly comfortable ones, but no massive chances in the first half. But the game sort of turned on Norwich finally getting a VAR call, which, as you can imagine, it came as a huge relief, despite the fact that after it there was still negative VAR chants from the home crowd, despite the fact that it had correctly ruled out a Leicester own goal. But it ruled out a superb goal. Kelechi Iheanacho, who led the line for Leicester tonight, with Jamie Vardy missing out with a calf injury, who is their 17-goal top scorer. Iheanacho grappled with Ben Godfrey, and then the ball bounced away, and Godfrey lost it completely. And once we saw the replay, we realised why. As it had dropped, Iheanacho had handled it, and it had gone in the other direction and confused Godfrey. But from there on, it was a brilliant strike, sumptuous, left-footed, curled round Tim Krul, who had no chance into the bottom left corner, and that really punctured a bit of hope in Carrow Road, encouraged by what they'd seen, and only for VAR to ride to the rescue. As soon as we saw the replay, we were pretty confident it was going to be ruled out, and it was, much to the relief of everybody here, because that just breathed fresh life into the game. But the turning point was, after that one, was the 69th minute. Jamal Lewis, he doesn't half pick his moments. His first goal was all the way back, January 2018, I'm sure you remember, at Chelsea, that header from a Tim Closer cross, FA Cup third round replay. All of a sudden, Jamal emerged from somewhere and scored that goal. But he has not scored since then. Over 2 years ago, his first league goal finally arrives, and it was incredible style. We very grateful to have had the best possible view of it in the stadium, really, but it all came from real tenacity, as it had been throughout the evening, from Max Aarons. Great pace to get past England left back Ben Chilwell, gets the cross in, doesn't fall to anyone, but it's too deep, falls to Jamal Lewis, who just takes one nice touch, controls it on his chest, and then decides to go for it. The dropping ball, cuts across it with his left foot, out to win bend, into the far bottom corner. Kasper Schmeichel, no chance. The whole stadium goes absolutely mad, finally getting that goal. He didn't get one throughout the championship title winning season, so it really meant a lot to him. And just the release of relief around this place was remarkable. The home fans all of a sudden thought, well, maybe it's not over. It was difficult to think like that going into this game, because of course Leicester are at third place. They're looking likely to get into the Champions League. They've been so good for so much of this season. It was difficult to see Norwich getting something tonight, particularly after how they'd played at Wolves, but I guess they may have been angered a bit, really, by the reaction to it, and by their own performance as well, because the reaction was deserved. I don't... everything we heard from Norwich players after that 3-0 defeat at Wolves was that they were thoroughly disappointed with how they played. That they really hadn't turned up on a game that they thought they would have an opportunity in. And they came out so determined tonight. The big change, Emi Buendia, we've spoken so much about him. Daniel Farke gets him back into the starting lineup, and to be frank, it was a rusty first half, mixed with some good stuff, but he looked like he was trying to show some calm and some positional discipline, but it just wasn't quite the Emi Buendia that Norwich fans know and love. In the second half, after that VAR turning point, I think we really saw Emi back to his best. He'd shaken off the rust by that point, and he was buzzing all over the place, real tenacious defensive work, and he created a really clear-cut chance for Andre Duda. Considering how much talk there's been about the fact that Buendia hasn't scored a goal this season, he had surged towards the box, and just as it looked like he was going to shoot, he dummies and unselfishly passes to Andre Duda, who has to score, to be honest. That should have put Norwich 1-0 up, but he just blasts it at Kasper Schmeichel, and rather than bottom corner either side, which were both open to him, that was a bit of a poor miss, really. But Duda, the same as Buendia, really grew into it second half. He also had forced another decent save from Schmeichel with a snapshot from the edge of the box. So lots of positives to enjoy, and 5 minutes of injury time to ride out, and they did it. And the noise at the final whistle was just brilliant. The scenes, it was just like being back at the end of last season, Sheffield Wednesday, Blackburn, those big games that we saw here. Daniel Farke doing his waves to every side of the stand. Everyone wanted their piece of Daniel tonight. Tim Krul running full length for the pitch to get to the Barclay to cheer them and whip them up. And the players, this was a huge sense of relief, and they really enjoyed their moment, and they deserved it because they worked so hard to get this. Leicester were frustrated. I don't think they'll be too happy with their performance tonight, but they were certainly in this game. I think it was 15 shots they had. I haven't got them in front of me, but I think it was about 15 shots they actually had on goal. So Maddison's deliveries from set pieces and crosses were really good. They, although they didn't create too many, or they didn't make the most of any of their clear-cut chances, really, and Norwich scrambled for that 5th clean sheet of the campaign at times. I don't think Leicester can quibble too much with the fact that Norwich came out on top, because they had the better chances in this one, really. So what a tantalising prospect we've now got ahead of us, really. Who knows? This could be the start of something special. If Norwich stay up from here, then Daniel Farke is going to need to end up being on the Manager of the Year shortlist, because to pull off a great escape from the position that they were in ahead of tonight was so unexpected. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, as the wind just gets up around me. Let's just keep hold of the tripod so we don't have a repeat of the Liverpool game when the camera nearly fell over. So yes, we can't get ahead of ourselves. A very tough game awaits next Saturday at Sheffield United, and that FA Cup game at Tottenham as well. 5th round, trying to get into the quarterfinals for the first time since 1992. Football's a funny game, isn't it? One result, one goal, one brilliant goal can just change the mood so much. If they were to go and win at Tottenham on Wednesday night, which is quite possible given the injury problems that they have, given that things aren't really going well for Mourinho and that he's looking grumpier and grumpier by the week, win that and they are going to bounce into Bramall Lane, who, it's about time that they slipped up, really, isn't it? the brilliant season that they're having under Chris Wilder, who you can guarantee will have them bang up for that game. They won't want to be losing to Norwich. That's become quite a decent rivalry in recent seasons, hasn't it? So it's going to be a really interesting week ahead, and I'm sure you want to head over to pinkun.com to savour the moment. We haven't had it very often. The last win was Bournemouth, wasn't that long ago, in January, which was 1-0 here as well, but it's only a 5th win of the season, a 2nd win in 15 games in the league, although there were the two FA Cup wins as well, so maybe it's not quite as doom and gloom as it should be, because how many times have we come out of games saying that they've played well and not got what they deserved? Tonight they did. so let's make the most of it. Head over to pinkner.com for all the action and analysis, and do feel free to leave a comment below, and thank you very much for watching.